Re kgantsha ka lona, re ipela ka lefatshe la Botswana.
We're back again, like a bang, like a bomb, like a dang, like we never left. Of course, guys, your boy M Squared holding it down for you. The Tourism podcast brought to you by Botswana Travel and Tourism Awards 2022. We're having fun, man. This is another episode, and I know you're gonna enjoy this one. I'm with Tumisang today, and Tumisang, what's up?
My guy.
Yeah.
How's it?
I see you.
Definitely.
You've been smiling like I'm back again, like a bomb, like I've never left.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming through, man.
Yeah.
Today we're talking photography, and a lot of people know photography as, just take a picture of me, and then you pose and that's it.
Yeah.
But you've done photography for a while. Tell us about your journey and tell us about yourself in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, I'm Tumisang Del Rangkopo. That's my stage name, if you will. So I'm actually a photographer, photojournalist as well, for a local publication.
Nice.
So I've been really focused on news. That's really what we do on a day-to-day. Given that we do news, we branch into different facets of news.
Right.
It's very vast.
Okay.
So we do the business, we do the scary court stories, and even touch into situations where we go into deep into tourism. Because we have that's basically my story and what I do then. As far as how I've come there,
Nice.
I've always had an interest in creativity.
Okay.
I consider myself a creative.
I was about to ask, when did it all start for you? Like from young, or was it just school and then that's it?
No, I've always been a creative.
Yeah.
I actually started off writing. I have a book that I've published actually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You're a writer?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
It's a prose book, poetry, just a bunch of poems. And the interesting thing about that book, it's actually titled 1,000 Words. So there's a poem, and then you have a photograph under each poem to kind of directly or indirectly link.
People say that there's this saying. I think that a photo has like 1,000 words.
Picture tells 1,000 words. There we go. That's where that title comes from.
So you brought that fuse of picture tells 1,000 words, and then you also put some words into it. What kind of? I'm curious. What kind of photos do you take? In the book and stuff like that.
It's I focus a lot on nature.
Right.
Because a lot of the book it tells a lot about the nature of life.
Okay.
Everything from the dark to the beautiful, the love, the heartbreak, and everything in between. So nature is the perfect kind of like descriptive of what we actually go through as far as emotionally. So you link those two, it's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
From what we're talking here, I can see, there's a writer, there's a creative inside, and all of that. You moving into photography full time, the passion, when did it all start for you? And what do you feel when you actually, take photos and make art out of them? Yeah.
Well, I guess I stumbled upon photography specifically because I went to school for broadcasting and journalism. Given that we have to learn about all the different types of broadcast and journalism, so you have to be behind the camera at some point, and that's where I first really fell in love with the camera, if you want to put it that way.
Okay, but you told me when you started that because you are working for a local news local paper, you had sent into the streets and like, guys, go and take photos. You do a court case and what. What are the challenges that you find when you are taking when you are in the job photographing and all of that? What are the challenges that you've seen in the industry?
Well, I think the main issue is that there's a real problem when it comes to a photographer versus someone with a camera. Because especially now the smartphone era, we have people with their iPhones, and once you have your iPhone, no one can tell you anything.
In fact, I think we should shoot this podcast with an iPhone, yeah, and then tell the guys here to just bounce, guys.
Android boy.
Yeah.
So that's one of the issues we face as far as I'm actually legit in what I do. It's a craft. I take it seriously as a craft.
Yeah.
So you wake up every day. What are you doing for the craft?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So I mean, journey going forward for you, you know, in terms of, you know, the industry itself, you know, you've done diverse kind of photography, but then let's talk about, you know, wildlife photography. You know, have you done a bit of that? What are the challenges that you've seen? Let's say, you know, we've seen Nat Geo and all of these, you know, channels that we see on TV, and they capture beautiful wildlife, you know, scenarios and stuff like that. Does it take time for you to capture the right picture? What is the work in it for wildlife photography?
The thing with wildlife specifically versus what you would have like at a birthday party shoot, it's not the same at all in the sense that this is like a manufactured setup. But the beauty of wildlife photography specifically is that you have to be alert, you pay attention to what is happening around you. You capture something that is beautiful. Once that bird is flying over, you only have a little bit of time before you can, for you to capture that. So you pay attention, you really look at what you're trying to do. And the beautiful thing is that if you're actually naturally creative, you have an idea of what you want. So you go out there, you go bird watching, you're sitting there for hours because you're waiting on that shot. You have it in your head. Exactly. You see the guys with the long lenses. So you have an idea of what you want to leave with. Unfortunately, it may not happen that day. You keep going and you keep coming at it, and sometimes you even leave with something else than what you actually wanted, and that is the gem.
I get you. Do you think tourism photography in this country is growing? You know, do you think people are now starting to appreciate photography? You know that a lot of, you know, let me say locals, Botswana, you know, when we go out for, you know, boat cruises, I've seen it a lot when we go to Kubo Kasane and all of that. All of them focus on drinks, you know, in the boat, and then you'd see a lot of Caucasian friends coming from overseas. They like, you know, capturing the wildlife. You know, you tell them, that's a fish eagle. No, fish eagle is
What about the flying fish?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know, do you see tourism photography growing? Do you see Botswana now appreciating, you know, what they have, the gem that they have in this country more now?
Yeah. Well, I could put my head on the chopping block and say that Botswana photographers are some of the best in the world.
Nice.
I stand and die on that hill. Looking at the Nat Geos that you just mentioned earlier, you look at the wildlife photography there, and you look at some of the stuff that's coming out of places like Kasane and Mahu or the Okavango, the type of photographs that guys are taking there. One of my favorite photographers is Oteng Lekgore. Stunning photos he takes. Amazing. Brilliant. Like he's one of the best for me. So it's definitely growing leaps and bounds.
Well, I mean, someone is watching out there, you know, young kid is like, look, I want to get into this, you know, I want to learn. And so what would be your advice to them? You know, that like, I want to really start capturing photos. What can you say to them in terms of angles? Because, you know, I've noticed that people take photos, but it's like a simple photo. What stands out? How do you make that thing stand out? Tell the novice photographer out there.
All right, first things first, I think what you need to do is actually learn the theory behind the practice. You go in and you learn about your compositions, you learn about your angles, you learn about your framing, rule of thirds, all the basics, and then you turn around and you learn about, you know, like the actual technical, the boring stuff, the f-stops and apertures and all of that. And then once you figure that out, you go now and you can actually take time and go through what you actually, look at some of photographs of other people, go on YouTube, look at what other photographers are doing, take that kind of inspiration from there, and you learn about what you want, what you can do, what you can try, and then you just go outside, brother. Because the thing with photography is you can only get better through practice.
Right.
You actually have to go, you take 1,000 shots a day. You're gonna come out with something at least once a day. So, and then, unfortunately, equipment is expensive. Yeah. It's an expensive job or hobby, if you consider it a hobby.
Yeah. Last question for me, what is the missing link for Botswana, in terms of us hitting the right levels of success, in photography and in tourism? What is the missing link for us?
I would really love to have one of, a Botswana photographer like at Reuters, given that level of a platform. I think because, like I said, we're one of the best in the world. We can go toe to toe with any photographers in the world. So I would like for at least a few of us to have that kind of platform where we can say, okay, but this guy, Reuters, BBC. Yeah. So these are the types of, this is what I would like for us to see moving forward. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to take a photograph of you and we're going to show it after. And then you're going to take a photograph of me, and then we'll see the difference. The viewers will see the difference, and they'll have an opportunity also to comment on our Facebook page and our YouTube channels and stuff like that. We'll see who's the better man.
Indeed.
Thanks for coming.
Challenge accepted, sir.
Sure. We'll totally. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Of course, like I said, we're going to be back soon with another episode like we never left. Of course, see you on the flip side.
Fatima Kabujala Makhabisa Naha Fudira Khatim Metameko Le Fatima Kabujala Makhabisa Naha